Welcome back to the New England Endurance Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Schenker, along with my trusty co-host, Art Chapotsis. Art, how you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Eric. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I know you are excited for this one.
Very.
You've been licking your chops for this one. So today on the podcast, we are thrilled, and I do mean that. We are thrilled to welcome Abby Long, the Executive Director El Jefe of the Kingdom Trails Association, one of the premier mountain bike networks in the country. It is nestled in Vermont's Northeast Kingdom. And as a matter of fact, if people don't even realize it, it literally has one of the top 3 trails in the world called Black Bear. And we are going to get into that later. But this will be a fun episode for sure.
Yes, Eric. Kingdom Trails is one of my happy places on planet Earth. Just love going up there. So Abby is a New England native with a unique global perspective. She's taught and served in communities around the world, from rural China to Belize, from the Blackfeet Indian Reservation to Gulf Coast recovery efforts post-Katrina. She brings her rich background in public service and community development, along with experience leading endurance events in Leadville, ding, ding, Leadville, Colorado.
Ding, ding.
She brings that to her current role at Kingdom Trails. And now she's 7.5 years into her leadership at KT. And by the way, we will refer to Kingdom Trails as KT throughout this podcast. And she's deeply embedded in the community, works closely with the private landowners. And we're super excited to have her here on the podcast today. Welcome, Abby.
Eric, you're making me blush. That was a really kind little intro. Thank you. And thank you for having me. This is such a treat to just, It's a Friday, ending the week on a high note, chatting with you all and talking about all the warm, fuzzy, awesome stuff KT provides for our community and folks all over the world. It's my happy place too, Art. I'm so happy I've made it my home.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. Great. No, this is a cool one. KT has come up so much in so many other podcasts that it's great to hear your perspective today. So let's kind of start. I mean, that is a wild intro. Your journey from how did your journey go from international service to the incredible town of Leadville and those races, and ultimately led you back to where you belong, New England and Kingdom Trails?
Yeah, totally. Something I'm so passionate about and my parents instilled in me was service, and serving my direct community. I feel really strongly about where I live and where I choose to make my home. And I, of course, when you're young and right out of college, you want to get as far away from your parents as possible. but what I learned from all those experiences is that, I love my home, and I grew up in New England. I did venture out to Colorado and made that Leadville my home. My husband and I were so fortunate to have an adventure out there. And it really is still one of our communities we visit. We still have, chosen family out there. And we were so invested in Leadville. And I loved working for the race series and then later the Leadville Trail 100 Legacy Foundation, because I saw what outdoor recreation, what those races were doing to my community, that positive impact they were having. The proceeds from the races and the funds raised through the legacy were pumped right back into Lake County, Leadville, through education scholarships and small business forgiveness loans. And it's just so much good is happening. And it's a type of sustainable destination development. You're inviting people to come experience your community, fall in love with your community, keep coming back year after year. And then like Art said, turning it into their happy place. And then the end game is, before you know it, they make it their home and they become active community members themselves. And that's what I saw that I could do at Kingdom Trails. And it helped that Kingdom Trails was in Vermont and my parents retired to New Hampshire, so I could be closer to my own family. We eventually made it back to Vermont after Leadville to do just that. And I saw what Kingdom Trails, the amazing impact it was having on not just its immediate community in Burke, in Lyndonville and East Haven, but in the entire Northeast Kingdom region itself. The Northeast Kingdom is a socially and economically challenged region of Vermont, actually the world for that matter, because it's a designated root zone due to our geographic isolation and declining population and a whole slew of things. But outdoor recreation, these trails are kind of this hidden gem, this highlight that are driving people to the region. And when people come, they're spending money, gear, food, lodging, gallons of maple syrup, and they're coming year after year like art. And then some of them are even moving here.
Yeah, and I want to just it's really just very quick point here, because you're making me think of something I hadn't really thought of, right? Like the way in which you kind of spoke about Leadville and that becoming a destination and what you want to do for our Kingdom Trails. And literally on my ride this morning, I ran into a buddy and we were catching up on the road, and he had just got back from Bentonville. And if I think about it's really, that's kind of, I haven't thought about Kingdom Trails in the same way you're discussing it, as the same way I might have thought about a Leadville or a Bentonville. So it's really interesting, and you're kind of opening my mind up a little bit differently to how you view Kingdom Trails, but maybe how on a macro level, what it might actually represent. So sorry, I just kind of went off script here from what we wanted to talk about, cool. But it struck me because I was literally just like a buddy of mine that I saw on the roads this morning. He's like, "Oh yeah, I just got back from Bentonville," and it's just he would never go to Bentonville other than
to mountain bike.
Go ride bike.
For those that don't know, Kingdom Trails is so when I think of Kingdom Trails, I put in my my GPS, I put in East Burke, Vermont, and it's essentially 3 hours door to door from Boston. So just to put that in perspective, where it's located in Vermont.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's faster to get there than to Bentonville. Is that what you're
yes, absolutely. You can make a long weekend out of it, even a day.
Abby, I'm curious about the history. So I've ridden these trails a bunch, but how did these KT trails come into existence?
It's really a cool story, and I can't take any credit for it because I've only been with KT not even a full 8 years, but we celebrated 30 years last year. So we're in our 31st year. 1994 is when the actual nonprofit was founded. But even years leading up to that, folks were out here kind of road riding these old logging roads. And that is the traditional industry up here in the kingdom, is the forest industry. And I think that's really powerful, how the forest industry and the outdoor rec industry actually complement each other up here. They have a lot of synergies. But yeah, I think, in the 90s, mountain biking was kind of taking off. It's still rather a new sport. And Burke had the ski mountain, but that's only open in the winter, obviously. Winters are getting a little bit shorter. And the folks, the community members, leaders, and bikers themselves were like, wow, we need to, start thinking about something year round to bring people up here, to excite people. And they noticed, folks were off in the woods riding the bikes. And so how could they actually bring this to fruition and make this real? And so the other thing about up here in Vermont is all private land. We're not out in Leadville where we're surrounded by Forest Service land or BLM land, public land. And these trails were going across folks' property, and there wasn't an official permission for it. So by founding the nonprofit, there was one of the founders, Doug Kitchell. He, the story goes at least, that he went door to door knocking on these private landowners' doors and asking for permission to connect all these trails that people were already out in the woods riding. And they said, yes, of course. And now it blows my mind. I'm in awe of it every day. KTU this year has 106 private landowners who host our trails. And it's truly all out of the generosity of their hearts. They see the vision, they see the asset, and they see what outdoor recreation is doing for their homes, for their community. And they get it. They truly are the backbone of our organization and allow us to enjoy this gift.
Oh, cool. I recognize the name Kitchell.
Yes.
That's one of the trail names, right?
Yeah, and Kitchell got a big old upgrade too. It was kind of our first years ago. Night Eyed, one of our main trail builders that we contract with, he's also a KT landowner. He was our first machine built trail, Kitchell. And then at the end of last year, we people love Kitchell so much. We're like, let's make a few more. And so now Kitchell got turned into a green line. There's a blue line right next to it called I'd Ride That. And now there's Drop It, which is a triple black diamond. And it's right here, right in town. So from downtown East Burke, you can just lap these trails. It's so fun, especially like after a day work and you only have maybe an hour to ride before the sun sets, and you can move your legs and have fun.
You kind of touched on it, but what do you think really makes Kingdom Trail such a standout, right? Not just as a destination, but as maybe a model for community, stewardship, recreation, right? Like you've clearly been around the world and you helped lead one of the other most sort of iconic destination type areas for this around that. How does Kingdom Trail stand out to you?
Yeah, private landowners are what make us so special, that it is literally neighbors after neighbor, my own neighbors even, that want to make this happen. And I think that right there is what makes us stand out. But I also think our terrain is really special. We are pretty different. Our soils are a little bit different than the rest of New England. We're really sandy. Lake Willoughby, another incredible destination and beautiful, magical lake, had a glacier come through and drop, like it was a glacial esker, and just drop a bunch of sand deposits. And that's what Darling Ridge is, Heaven's Bench. Some of our like really iconic trails are up on that ridge and original trails. And when it rains, first I should say that makes trail building amazing because there's no like rocks or like roots that you have to haul out of the way. But it also means when it's raining here, we can remain open. Our trails are not getting muddy, where other parts of the state or the region have to close to protect the natural resources. We can actually stay open and our trails dry out super fast. So that also is stands us out from the rest of the trail networks in the region.
How many trails you got?
That's
total?
A good question. Miles, I can do miles. Yeah, we have over 100. And if we actually, our trails actually connect to Burke Mountains Bike Park too. And so if you add those trails in there, we're well over 100.
I want to talk a little bit about just like the use of these trails. So we're talking about mountain biking here, right? And I have seen, when we've been up there during the summer, we've seen groups of runners as well. Particularly high school run. I don't know if there's a camp or something. So people use this for mountain biking and also for trail running, I assume.
And so we are a multi-use trail network. Obviously, predominant use is mountain biking. So the trails are built for mountain biking, but we do allow running. There's even landowners who have horses. And so out on the double track, you might even run into a horseback rider. And that's if the landowner
was gonna ask about that, only because we just interviewed Vermont 100, right? And we talked a lot about that being actually the horse race and then the mountain bike race and a running race, etc. So I was interested actually if there were horseback riders up there on the up in KT.
If the landowner provides permission to the horseback rider, then you will see them out there on some of the double track trails. And KT's worked really closely with the Horse Council and local horse enthusiasts who to educate how. Because in a lot of parts of the country, there's a lot of conflict between bikers and runners and horseback riders. But we've done a pretty good job at educating on how to cross paths respectfully and safely. Even so much that we have one of our KT ambassadors is Toby the horse. We have and he wears a little KT nameplate. But in the winter months, we also groom over 30 miles of fat bike trails and Nordic trails as well, and snowshoeing. So we are very much all season and multi-uses. And I want to also bring in to play that our trails are 55 miles of our trails are adaptive mountain bike friendly. And we've worked really closely with Kelly Brush Foundation, Vermont Adaptive Sports, Adaptive Sports Partners, a lot of these groups that believe all bodies should be welcome on trails. And through their expertise and knowledge, we've been able to build completely new trails that are adaptive optimized, and then regrade or broaden a turn to make or widen a bridge, make these adjustments so our trails are adaptive friendly.
Could you just maybe, so you kind of touched on the how you make it, because I was kind of interested to say, okay, what does an adaptive trail look like? And is that because these adaptive athletes are using non-traditional, let's say, bicycles, either three-wheel or four-wheel type of adaptive bicycle machinery? Is that, I just trying to understand that a little bit better?
Yeah, no, you nailed it, Eric. It was adaptive bikes. There's a few different models out there, but for the most part, they do have three wheels. They even have an electric assist to help them get uphill, because these bikes are pretty heavy. And so it is wider than your regular analog two-wheel bike. So the trail does have to have some slight adjustments to it in order to be accessible.
Yeah. I was hiking in Colorado with my daughter. I can't remember the name of this pretty big trail. It had this lake at the top and everybody was swimming. Like, it was great. And we're coming down, and this was probably a 2.5 hour, 3 hour hike. And a woman came up in a hand bike going up this trail, right? And it was like it was four wheels, and she was literally, I think she didn't have use of her legs but below her waist, and she was hand pedaling up this trail. It was so, I can't even tell you, it was like so inspiring. And I think cool. I would be so inspired to be out riding in KT and see somebody, an adaptive athlete, come through riding. I mean, I think that's like so cool.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing.
It's powerful. They're incredible athletes. We did a demo day with adaptive bikes up here at KT, so I was even able to get on and feel how it was to maneuver one of these pieces of equipment, and it's wild, the strength.
I'm so glad you highlighted
that.
Yeah. I think that's really incredible. And probably that goes back, to probably all of it seems to go back to landowners, right? Being open and willing to do that. And I'm just sort of thinking to myself, boy, land ownership is such a New England thing, right? There's been so many races and events that we've talked to who have said very similar things to you, Abby. We couldn't do it without the landowners. And I just wonder if we interviewed other people from around the country and different things, if they had that same experience. It does feel like a very New England landowner usage type of thing. So one, I think that's unique. Two, how do you work with the landowners? Like, what is it like? That's probably a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you work with the landowners.
Absolutely. No, it's something I feel really strongly about and I'm really proud of, because it's individual relationships. We don't view them as this huge mass of people. We view them as individuals. They are unique of themselves. Their properties are as well. We have landowners like Burke Mountain is our largest landowner. Thousands of acres, have the most of KT's trails. We're probably on the phone with them every day. But then we have the landowner, like my neighbor, who just like a little eighth of a mile, but it's a really crucial eighth of a mile because it's connecting one section of the network to another area of the network. And so it's meeting them where they are. Whether it's having coffee on their couch or just calling them, keeping them posted, being transparent, consistent communication. They get an email from me, mass email to all of our landowners directly from me every month, just keeping them apprised of what KT is doing and engaging them in our decision making. That's something I really value. I'll bring up a very controversial decision that KT just had to make: e-bike policy. I'm not making that. I'm not making that decision by myself. It's not my property. So every single one of our landowners was engaged and brought along through this process. We first educated ourselves. We educated them. We wanted them to feel comfortable. We wanted them to know what an e-bike was. We had a demo day for those. And this process actually started like 4 years ago. And we've watched the policy get reviewed every year. And then this year, our landowners, we have a landowner advisory committee actually that helps with this engagement and helps they're landowners themselves, but they're out there talking to their neighbors. And they made a recommendation that KT should open up our trails to class 1 pedal assist e-mountain bikes. And we did just that. But it's a long process and we have to be patient. We can't just at the click of a button make that decision because it's really not our decision.
Did you get 100% of the landowners to agree to that, or are there certain trails that aren't allowed?
Yes, there is a section of the network, the Northwest section, is not open to e-bikes except for folks who have mobility disabilities, which is ADA federal law.
But it's labeled when you're on the trail, you can see that.
It's labeled on trail forks and by signage.
Oh, great. Okay. Just with regards to the landowner, I know that there's a group of us down here that go up to KT every year. And one year there was a section missing that we couldn't go on. It was down by the river. I forget what it was called, but it connected the pump track with coronary or whatever it was called. Oh, I forget.
It's still restricted.
And that was missing.
It's still missing.
It's still restricted. Is that something where you could work with that landowner to someday gain access again? Because that was a pretty special part of KT to connect those two areas.
Yeah, it was. That restricted access happened long time ago now, probably around 7 years ago, when I first joined Kingdom Trails. And I think they chose to do that. You know, they're private landowners. It is their decision. They have every right to make that decision. And we were very respectful of that decision. It is tough. It's people like yourself still ask about those trails. The 3 T's were iconic and people had a blast.
Yeah.
But there's so many more trails since then, probably better trails, but it's still tough because it was beautiful and people enjoyed coming back and doing them over and over and over again. And, you know, those landowners had concerns with the behavior of some of the trail users on their property.
What did you do wrong?
You know, I don't think it was one specific incident, but they had been landowners for, you know, since the start of KT, and I'm sure they had a number of experiences that were negative. And so we took that feedback, and KT, I'm really proud of how we were able to take immediate action and positive action. We looked to Bike Borderlands, which is a mountain bike collaborative that we're a part of. The umbrella organization for them is the Northern Forest Center. And we were able to create a code of conduct all together because we all realized that our voices were stronger together, called Ride with Gratitude. And I've
seen that. That's
powerful,
incredible.
and it works. We've seen it come to success, and it's awesome. I should have had my Ride with Gratitude hat on right now. But it basically talks about respecting the land, respecting the landowner, respecting each other, and that these trails are not a right; they are a privilege. And we have seen that shift in behavior, and we see when folks come to our community. That respect has not only been overlaid on the trails, but even when they're parking in our community, parking in proper spaces, being grateful when they walk into the market across the street. It's been an awesome tool, and we will continue to highlight it and shout it from the rooftops until we're blue in the face and then some.
Awesome.
We talk about it on this podcast in many different ways, though, but it's just about, you know, just be a good person when you're out there. Like, you know, we always talk about waving. Just wave to people you see, you know, bikers wave to runners, runners wave to bikers, you know, pick up your trash, don't go to the bathroom, you know, like just all of these things. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. And even more so when you are on private land that somebody is allowing you to use for your own personal recreation. I'm just shocked, and I'm disappointed to hear that there was probably enough of those incidents where that landowner said, "I'm done, right? Enough of that." So,
but I think
that's great. I love what you're talking about in terms of just making nicer, more appreciative people.
Yeah.
So
I am the ever optimist. You know, I always look for the rainbows and the unicorns, probably to a fault, but I do now, it was very challenging at the time, that restricted access, but I do look at it almost as a blessing in disguise. I always want KT to be a leader in the industry. And so if we can be the cautionary tale for new mountain bike networks that are popping up on, if I could go back in time 30 years ago, I would make sure that this code of conduct was in place and the wayfinding signage is in place and ambassadors were out on our trail networks to greet people, welcome people, and share information and tell them where to park properly. But we learned and we were able to pivot and take immediate action for the better. And now I'm really pumped and jazzed that KT can share those experiences and those lessons learned with others.
That's great. And that's a good segue, right? So we were kind of talking about a trail, losing a trail in this case, but I think there's been a lot of trail expansion, correct? Oh, yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about what's expanded and maybe where there might be plans for future expansion or networks towards Lyndonville, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, our whole Moose Haven area, the trail network, is relatively new. That's where Black Bear, the number 2 rated mountain bike trail in the world, is located. Just say that one more time. And Night Eyed of Eyed Ride Builders, he is the trail builder behind all those trails. So they're machine built, excavated. There is a badass climb up Hall Road. It's like almost 2-mile climb but it is so worth it because there's the most stunning gazebo that the landowner, Walter Norman, so generously placed there because he wanted to create a beautiful gathering spot for folks to enjoy this 360-degree view of the mountains and the landscape. And then you get on your bike and you barely have to pedal. You just flow downhill. And now there's so many options to go downhill in that area. And you can connect Moose Haven from in town. There's a whole slew of trails that get you out there for a really epic ride. And then, or you can go and drive your car out there and park there and start from the base of Hall Road.
Is there a shuttle?
There was a shuttle. And our federal landscape being what it is, some of those funds have are no longer available to us to support that shuttle. So one day again. But we're building a new trail out there, hopefully to be debuted at the end of the summer. And it will be called Flying Monkeys. And John Falabella, Dale Sickle are the generous landowners allowing us to build there. And that will be really exciting. Knight's building that again. And we're dabbling with like a little raffle, and we might raffle off the opportunity to be the person to drop the rope and be the first to ride down the trail. Oh, wow. And they'll get to ride with Knight. And one of our board members is Georgia Gould, who's a 2-time mountain bike Olympian, bronze medalist. And that would be a really cool thing.
Wow.
And a fundraiser for KT.
How long does it take?
I like that idea of new trail kind of raising money, being the first to do it. That's I really like that idea.
Good. I should start rolling it out. We need to get on that.
Yeah.
How long does it take to build a trail like that?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, do you do it over the course of the season? But
it doesn't take the whole season. I think, Knight probably could have had it built by now, but we have other trail building going on around the rest of the network. So he's been pulled in a different couple different places. We also have, weather we have to contend with. KT's been experiencing, I'm going to sound like a Debbie Downer now, but we've been experiencing some pretty extreme weather events the past couple of years. And July 10th was 3rd year in a row we've had flooding. So just last weekend, we had to shut down a couple of trails. And when that happens, all of our resources, even our funding, gets directed towards this catastrophic maintenance. So that does put some of the new trail builds on hold. So we're right now dealing with the ramifications of the flood we just had last weekend. Mm-hmm. So
again, well, not again, but in terms of all the like, do you have to have a trail pass?
Yes.
Like for folks that have never been up there, you have to have a trail pass, and then that money then I assume goes towards the
Trails.
stewardship of the
Yep.
property, right?
Bingo.
I mean, it all like that's the way it
Yeah.
goes. And you're, I imagine enormous salary,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like you're just highly, highly compensated
Yes.
in a Kingdom
From our
Trails
grassroots
executive
nonprofit.
leadership role. Yeah.
Um,
The helicopter, right?
Yeah.
That you use to kind
Fly
of
in
fly
and out.
around and fly in it. Okay, I got
So
it.
we do. People need to have a membership to access the trails, and we have annual memberships, which allows you access all year long, and especially those winter months when we have rooming operations. But you can buy a membership for the day, and along with that membership comes our waiver, which helps protect our landowners who are offering this gift to everyone, and protects the rider themselves. But
So how much are they? Just talk a little
sure.
like what's a day pass and what's a
Yeah,
annual
for an
membership?
adult to do a day membership is $20. Discounts for youth, of course. Everyone under 7 and over 70 are free. But anything up to we have annual memberships, we have family annual memberships, so the prices go up from there. But it's still a pretty affordable experience.
Seems very reasonable.
Totally reasonable.
To me, for 100 miles of maintained trails.
But we really emphasize that membership. Folks do need it to access the trails, and those membership revenues, they go right back into the operations of KT. So if folks want to continue to build world-class, or if they want to continue to ride world-class, quality, maintained, and well-managed, and have new trails every year, then they do need to buy their membership. So we can continue doing that. And that goes into paying our trail crew, paying our employees, our ambassadors to be out there sharing information and welcoming folks to the community.
The other day, I mentioned to a friend of mine, we were interviewing Kingdom Trails, and he said, "Oh, I've never been there, but I'm actually going up there for a race."
Oh, yeah.
And I just want to connect the dots here if this is the same area we're talking about. So Race Day XC, who we had on this podcast, are they part of this? Are you guys part of their series?
They are hosting a race. I think it's August 8, 9, and 10. The race will be held on one of our private landowners' properties, the Wildflower Inn, and it will be up on Darling Ridge. And so it's,
what trails are
I don't
they
know,
using?
actually. I was just emailing the Wildflower Inn asking for those trails, because those trails will probably be closed to the public during the race, just for the safety of everybody. But that's really exciting. And that's one of the things that I love about our trail network is KT, the organization. We offer this opportunity. We build, maintain the trails, but that's part of our economic impact, is that others and businesses, or, anything from the private clinic that a guide wants to host to a race, they can then use our trail network, that opportunity to do more to uplift the community. Mm-hmm.
Do you see more of that happening? I mean, I'm not familiar with other races that have happened on KT's trails, but I could be ignorant.
There's a couple, I think. The Hibernator happens in the fall. So again, KT's not the one.
Okay.
We're not the programmer. We're not the production company doing these, but we actually have an events page on our website that has third-party event guidelines, and that we push those out to folks who do want to run a camp or a race or anything in between. Mm-hmm.
So,
awesome.
So on the other side of the spectrum, Abby, right? So now you've got obviously race opportunities for, the highly skilled rider like Art. And then you've got the other, hey, I've never really been mountain biking. I want to come up. I imagine there's green circle trails,
Mm-hmm.
but can somebody come up and rent a mountain bike? Like, are those opportunities up there just before people go and, drop
totally that's
a ton of money on a mountain bike?
A great question.
Like, can you come to Kingdom Trails, rent a bike, and experience it in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, KT's not the one renting the bikes. We don't have the capacity to do that, but it's these businesses that our trails are supporting. So there's 2 awesome bike shops in town. One right across the street here in downtown Eastburg Sportoma, and then up on the ridge is Refugio. There's even bike shop in Littleton that we have an awesome relationship with. And so they do bike rentals, and so folks can easily jump on the phone with them, share weight, height, and they'll set you up with the best bike to have the best experience on our trail network. And and then they, I know they sell off their demos at the end of the season. So if you put a little deposit down after you rent, you could walk away with your very own bike too.
So then, okay. So now I don't own a mountain bike. I'm coming up. Paint for me, the perfect new person coming to KT weekend.
Okay.
Right.
When I first moved here, I was taken with Darling Ridge. There is a property in the northwest section. The landowners have in at Mountain View, and you can park there. And there are greens. Loop is the trail, and it takes you, very gentle, easy, wide, but you're biking by like an animal sanctuary, red Vermont barns. Like, it doesn't get more Vermont than this. And you're looking at Burke Mountain. It's just stunning. But you can also hop off Loop and go down Pound Cake or Coronary, or some Black Diamonds are down that ridge as well. So I think that's where I would send first timers, because it is so stunning. But I don't even want to say that, because our entire network is set up for everybody, and it's set up for.
It's okay to have it's okay to make a suggestion, right? Yeah. Like, you just got to get people up there and have that first experience be amazing. And then they're just going to continue to come up or stay longer.
And I love that our trail network is progressive. So you can start as someone learning, not even on greens. I'm a mom of a toddler, and we have tot tracks, Strider bike, little tracks for the kiddos. And then on the Wildflower Inns property, we have a progression pump track, where we just installed another drop where kids can, not even kids, anyone can practice going off a small drop, a second drop, and now a third drop. And so you can hone in your skills and continue with our trail network for a lifetime. And you can go out and have that wild, crazy Black Diamond, triple Black Diamond experience. Or we have ride-arounds where you don't have to go off the drop if you don't want to, like me. And I'm just so excited. My kiddo just turned 5 last week, and he's on a pedal bike with handbrakes. And I was on training wheels, so I was like in 2nd grade. That it just blows my mind. I follow him down like some blues on Pete's Dragon, and I'm just like blown away by how beautiful he looks taking a berm. And I'm a 40-year-old woman going, what? Why can't I ride like this? And he gets to grow up and with these trails at his fingertips and in his backyard. And what I love talking about third-party events is all the camps. There's so many kid camps, and KT supports our local school district. Our school district has kids. We've helped them write grants and get fleets of youth bikes. Those kids are on bikes every day after school and all summer long through a summer camp. And we are able, because of people purchasing their memberships or donating to KT, we're able to donate those memberships, donate that access for these kids to have. And that's something we're pumped.
Well, and to continue Eric's, sort of dream weekend or first time weekend, and you can fill in the gaps here. We went swimming down the river. We got some ice cream.
Yes. You have to call it a creamy,
went to Mike,
or else you'll be kicked out.
A creamy, yeah. We got a beer up on the ridge, Darling Hill. Went to Mike's Tiki Bar, got a coffee at some Italian place,
Lottie's.
I think,
Yep.
up the street, Lottie's. And then went to Dirt Church Brewing at some
Doesn't
point.
get better than that.
So it's a really cool place.
It sounds like you need to ride in order to even out the incredible amount of calories you're consuming post-ride. I mean, beer, ice cream, pastry. I mean, that
easy to do.
You got to find some balance.
Easy to do at 100 miles. Mm-hmm.
So, Abby, what is your proudest achievement since becoming executive director?
I'm gonna be cheesy. Becoming a mother while leading this organization through a pandemic. Yeah, I think that's pretty personal. I guess I should look at what KT's done, but that definitely is my proudest accomplishment, leading the organization through some
Awesome.
pretty big, challenging global events. But also, I think just continuing and keeping a strong relationship with our landowners and our immediate community, being open and honest and connecting with people and engaging and communicating with people. I'm really proud of that.
Well, from my perspective, the place is incredible. It's only gotten better over the 10 years I've been going there. And you've been there for, 8 of those 10 years. So I think just keeping it going, creating new trails, building on the ones you already have and just creating an awesome experience. I think you've done an incredible job.
Guys, thanks.
Without a doubt, Abby. And I would also say just, Art and I have been riding for longer than we would, like to admit. But there has been something over, I would even say, like the past, let's say 3 to 4 years. Like I would imagine there's kind of a hockey stick that has happened where Kingdom Trails was, I think, very hardcore conversational for many and is becoming a little bit more of the known entity for a broader range of riders. And I would say that's a testament to the kind of experiences that KT now offers for not just like that hardcore, mountain biker, but the like, that's why I was kind of asking, could you come up and rent a bike? Could you come up and do some easy trails and go get a creamy and a beer, right? So I think there's something happening there where it's really becoming maybe more of a family type destination as well, versus just a couple dudes going up and sleeping in a van and,
but
riding mountain
those
bikes.
dudes are still here, and we're grateful they're still here because there's still tons of opportunities for them.
I mean, I think I think there's a restaurant where people just park their vans, right, to sleep in the parking lot. I can't remember which place it is.
Tiki
so
bar.
I know there's a tiki bar. Okay, tiki bar. Yeah, exactly. Tiki bar. All right. We have 2 last questions for you. This is a easy one. For those watching on YouTube, that's a super sweet hat. Yeah. We like hats. Can you just tell us about the sweet lid that you're rocking right now?
Yeah, I'm so glad I chose to wear this. I didn't even, think about it this morning because I always wear it, but it's pretty badass. It's a KT specific pattern created by this neighbor here. Her name's Brianna, and she owns this company, Ministry of Culture, and she's hand making them in Burke. She's amazing, and her mom works for us.
Very
her mom,
cool.
Lisa's one of our ambassadors. And check out Ministry of Culture. They have some KT stuff, but all of her stuff is really cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, that was the easy question. This isn't a hard question, but hopefully somewhat thought-provoking. You have traveled around the world volunteering. You have been a race director or trail, director in what one could argue is one of the most iconic places in the world, Leadville, for that type of environment. But now you are, like I said at the beginning, where you belong in Kingdom Trails. Tell us why you agree that New England is the greatest endurance region of the United States, if not the world.
Whoa, done. I could do this. This is easy. Man. It's those private landowners. It is so special. Like if you just think about who's offering these trails, that these, you're crossing people's properties because they get it. They want you to be on these trails and have this amazing experience. That to me is just so powerful. But I also, it's our trail building. It's our soils. It's our vibe in our community. Like we're not, I have been out in Colorado, and Vail resorts are big and flashy, and we are not that. We are grassroots. We are homegrown, and our landowners are too. And I think that's it. If I could put my finger on it.
There's no wrong answer unless you said that New England isn't the greatest endurance region. So you answered
nice,
correctly.
Nice.
In closing, how can folks support the Kingdom Trails organization?
Thank you. Well, I've already spoken about our memberships. So when you do come visit, or when you start your year, you buy your annual membership. But we do we are a nonprofit, so we accept donations, and we are grateful for those donations because we do so much more than just trail building. We give back to our community, and those donations really help fill that gap that our memberships aren't solely doing on their own. And with those weather events that we've been experiencing, we've had to lean on that generosity a lot lately. And we have an event coming up, July 31st. Brook Mountain is hosting a little benefit event. Dead to the Core is a band, and they're obviously a Grateful Dead cover band, an amazing one. And Thursday, July 31st, 6 p.m. Proceeds go to KT, and it'll just be really fun. Just a cool night to celebrate.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. This was really super informative, and I'm glad we finally could get you guys on the podcast because we've been talking about it for a long time.
This is a treat, guys. I'm grateful to you all. This is fun to talk. You get caught in the weeds every day at work, and answering 100 emails a day. So it's really fun to lift my head and remind myself all that KT does and how amazing it is for our community and for everyone to enjoy. So thank you for highlighting this.
Yeah, and Abby, thank you so much. We've got a couple sponsors as well, and the first one, which is Lark Fine Foods, 100% woman-owned specialty food company baking small batch delicious cookies. And I will say this, that Cookie Bob, who is the husband of the owner, slept in the Lark van at the Tiki Bar. Okay, so at one point, the Lark van from Lark Fine Foods was at the Tiki Bar, and he was sleeping in back of the cookie van because he's a huge enthusiast and a huge fan of KT. And of course, we've got another great sponsor, The Everyday Athlete, which is a go-to book for balancing work, family, and fitness. And I think in the next edition, there'll be a chapter, I think, on Kingdom Trails. I hope that will be included in that. We'll be sure to tag Kingdom Trails, kingdomtrails.org. We'll be sure to tag them on our Instagram, which is at New England Endurance.
Yes. Abby, thank you so much. I'm going to have to come up and see you in person in the next couple of weeks, bring some friends up and hit some of those.
We'll go for a meeting on the trails.
Anyways, thanks again for listening, everybody, to the New England Endurance Podcast. Get out there and drop some hammers and enjoy the beautiful terrain of New England.
Eric, thank you, guys.